Have you ever felt like life has passed you by? Like maybe you set aside your childhood dreams in order to serve others, whether it was your family, your boss, or just life got away from you. I got the chance to sit down with one such person who took back her dreams and after the age of 40 went after not one, but two major goals she set for herself. Join me now as we go on another gorgeous reflection of finding time for yourself.
I was 44 when I started running. I'm 48 now, about to be 49. I will say that I am the very first person that would not, when people say, why are you running? Oh, because I was being chased. That would have been me. That is truly how I felt about running. I didn't understand it. I didn't get it. It was awful. I would never even consider doing it. However, I got into, right about the time, I guess I started my doctorate program. At that point, and again, I have to kind of rewind a little bit, much of my 30s, early 40s, probably up until about 40, 41, I would just say a lot of depression. I used to call it, I was in a cloud. I just didn't know how to articulate it or I thought everybody felt this way. And then I was overweight. I was much heavier and not active at all. And it was right around the time the kids were, again, about to leave or right at the time that they were leaving. So I knew that I had to make a change. I just didn't know why. We had just taken a trip to Paris and I couldn't walk a block without stopping to sit and catch a breath. So started working out and then ended up connecting with a group of folks at a group fitness gym where part of that group fitness was running. And I remember almost not signing up because it included running, and then did it anyway. And I started realizing that, hey, this is kind of fun. And a lot with anything, a little success goes a long way. So I started feeling more confident. I started seeing the physical changes. And the more that happened, the more motivated I was to continue to do it. And the running community is very supportive and very open. So it just became like my social outlet as well. So I remember my first half marathon, and then we went out to Vancouver and I ran my first half marathon, and that was life-changing. And then it kept going. And then finally I have two friends who had run previous marathons who I adore, who are, by the way, in their early 30s, and I'm 48. So they keep me young. And they said, hey, we should sign up for a marathon. And again, just like my doctorate, I thought, me? I'm not even a runner, really. Like, I'm just kind of like running for fun. This is not what I envisioned. And so we decided to train, and I ran Disney marathon January and finished. And again, it was a very similar emotion that I had the day I completed my doctorate, because I think it was just one of those things where I did this and I did this for me, and which I tend to do a lot for a lot of people, but sometimes I don't feel like sometimes I don't feel like I prioritize, like, this is my goal and I want to do it. And I think in the last few years, I feel like I'm a better person because I'm doing that, where for so long I didn't feel like I could.
As if running a marathon was not impressive enough, especially starting running at age 44. But Anna wasn't done yet reclaiming her dreams. In fact, she went back to get her doctorate.
I always knew I wanted to continue my education. I actually had started the doctoral program kind of years before and chose to stop because my kids at the time were in elementary school. And I decided that at that time I wanted to just focus on them and focus on being mom and wife and just kind of put that on the back burner. But it was always there was always, the seed was planted and I knew I wanted to do it. I just didn't think it was in the cards for me. So when I went to UCF, I spent a good year just learning kind of navigate through a big campus, and then it became where, okay, this is the time. And at the time, my son graduated from high school, and we actually started, he started his freshman year, and I started my doctoral program the exact same semester. So fast forward, and we graduated 24 hours from each other. So it was really meaningful. That was probably one of my favorite parts of the whole thing, believe it or not, is having that chance to graduate on Friday and then have him be there and for us to drive to Alabama to see him graduate the next day. So for me, it was always something I wanted to do. I just didn't know when it was going to happen. I would say even to this day, hearing my name be Dr. Kennedy, I have to kind of look back to see who it is. Like, who are they talking about? It just didn't seem real. And again, I still have moments today where it just doesn't seem like it's actually happened. What is the Big Bang Theory? Doctor, and then Mr. That was me for a long time. So it was always Dr., Mrs., and now it's Dr. Kennedy. So that was, even just among my colleagues, I think that was, a big shift for me to have that accomplished.
So we all know the term, no man is an island, and that was true for Anna. In fact, she drew upon her family for inspiration and support, especially her grandparents, who immigrated to Florida from Cuba shortly after Castro took over.
My grandparents came with absolutely nothing, but they were very successful in Cuba. And when they came after Castro to the United States, when people say literally with their clothes on the back, that's all they had. And they put aside any type of, idea of where they came from or any wealth they may have had, and then just kind of worked to rebuild it here in the United States with, not knowing the language, not knowing where they were, and doing it with grace and being very generous with their time and their money with other people in the same situation. So I've grown up with that. I've seen that. My grandparents are in their 90s now, and my grandfather, up until a few months ago, health-wise, he's not there right now, but up until a few months ago, he was up on a ladder and cutting down trees in his yard, and building homes in the Keys. And I saw that my whole life. So, I know that with hard work, and I know with desire, anything can happen. And so I can't say that for sure that's what led me to where I am today, but what I can say is that I'm very honored to, even in my own way, be able to use them as an example, as someone who's first generation in this country, and do the things I've been able to accomplish. My grandfather has a 7th grade education, and I have a doctorate, and I'm here because of him and because of my grandmother and the sacrifices they made. So it's definitely something that I'm very proud of, but it's something that I'm aware of as well.
So by pursuing her own dreams, by no longer putting off what she wanted to do, she found that, it didn't make her selfish after all. In fact, it made her a better person for her loved ones.
I think the misconception is that sometimes if we put ourselves first, that somehow we're being selfish, or somehow we're taking away from the people that you love, something away from them, whether it be time or attention. But I can tell you, one of my biggest regrets probably is all through my 20s and 30s, I had kids very young. Although I was there physically, I know now I wasn't there mentally. And I think that now, whether I go and do a 2-hour run or an hour run and do take time away from family to go do that, or go to bed early because I have an early run, I'm a better person to be around, and a better mom, and a better wife, and a better grandparent. I'm a grandparent too, by the way, because of the fact that I've made that a priority for myself. I was I was in a cloud for so long, and coming out of it, I can't tell you how much different I see the world. I see people, even the self-belief in what I can do is somewhat limitless now. I mean, if you would have told me at 38 or 37 that I would be running, I would have laughed. If you would have told me I would have run a half marathon 5 years later, I would have laughed. And to tell me that not only did I do that, but I ran a marathon, that to me was not ever in the cards. And I think what just having that confidence built over time and taking that time to add that as part of and prioritize it in my life, I think to age, I look in the mirror and I obviously see I'm older. I don't think that that's a limitation ever for me right now. I mean, I do it. I do the things I do for longevity reasons. That's my number one goal. I want to be able to, in 10 years, still be able to run around with my granddaughter or my grandkids or pick them up or go on a trip and walk all over and not have to stop at a park bench every 5 minutes. That's my goal. That's why I do it. And running has been a way to do that. But it's definitely just the vehicle in which I'm choosing to that type of life, if that makes sense. So
I hope you enjoyed this episode of Gorgeous Reflections, and perhaps you've been inspired not to put things off. It's never too late to go after something that you dream about, that you truly want to accomplish. And that's no different from me. I did not start sculpting until my 50s. And now I'm getting ready to display my first art exhibit. And I hope you'll join us where we're going to explore these themes even further in a visual context. I will be there, as will many of the people that I interviewed. I hope you'll be there.